I was angry at a pastor for not being able to evaluate his environment and reality. Luckily, God sanctified that thought, and I've built out that 7-step process about going from education to essence. Number one is education. This is your training. Okay, this is going to school, learning your task, interning. I think you probably started out as a youth pastor, if I remember correctly. You know, this is
for a brief time, yes.
This brief, well, me too. Okay, yeah. So, you know, this is the education. This is the learning of the craft. Okay, the thing you need to learn in this situation is this is all about training, and this is about hard work. And like I said, we can unpack some of these, but number 2 is exposure. Now that you've been introduced into your various field, okay, this is about discovery. And there's a way that that exposure is good, and that's the development of young leaders, you know, a process that a young leader goes through in their development. Or this could be the babysitter that tells people how to parent. Okay. All right, you're confusing exposure with experience. Okay, you don't. So those are two sides of that fence. But when I talk to young leaders, I always spend a little time on exposure, and I walk them through a 7-step process about how to move to the next level. Okay, and that next level is explaining. Explaining is a very good level, okay? Even though it's number 3 out of 7, it's a good level. You know what you're doing, and you can tell other people how to do it. You know, for instance, if somebody were to say, and I was meeting with a church on Sunday, and I got a question I get all the time, Brian, what makes a capital campaign fail? Why do you have a bad campaign? So I walked them through vision. You know, vision needs to be clear, crisp, and compelling, and I explained all that. Second, the project needs to be clearly defined and a catalyst for making the vision a reality. I then explained to them the difference between urgency and nice, okay? The third thing is leadership.
Hang on. Yeah. I got to drill down on that one. Talk to me about the difference between urgency and nice.
Okay, excellent question. Urgency and nice. 2008, the banking crisis, in my opinion, killed nice. And here's what I mean by that. It'd be nice to build a family life center. It'd be nice to pay off some debt. It'd be nice to launch a new campus or expand. People no longer sacrifice to nice, but if it's urgent, people will still sacrifice to urgent.
Interesting.
So okay. When I'm explaining a project in relation to the vision, so the project could be anything I just said, debt, new campus, new building, renovations, expansion, anything like that. I explain, okay, for us to become the church God has called us to be, and to reach our community and make an impact around the world like he's called us to do, it is urgent that this project or this facility facilitate that becoming a reality. People will still sacrifice to urgent. They no longer sacrifice to nice.
Okay. I think you cut out there for just a second. So I'm going to have you go back to when you said, for us to become the church God wants us to be. Just say that line again, because that was, I have a feeling it was profound.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, got you.
Okay. All right. For us to become the church that God has called us to be, and for us to do the mission and vision that God has called us to do, it is urgent and it is vital that this building or paying off this debt for more money, for more ministry, that it facilitates the mission and vision becoming a reality.
That's fantastic. Okay.
So anyway, the third one is leadership. The fourth one is congregational trust. But the bottom line is I can explain my job. And if you've got a team of people who are versed enough that they can all talk about what they do, why they do it, the benefits of it, the pitfalls of it, explaining really is a good place to be. Okay. but there is a level above explaining, and that's experience. That means not only can they explain it, they've been doing it a long time. They got the pelts on the wall, they got the credentials, they got the reputation, they've got the network. They've been doing it a long time. Now, this is the most dangerous stage. Okay?
Interesting.
Because you're going to go up or down in experience. If you get assumptive in experience, that we know what we're doing, we've done this before, we've seen it all before. Okay, you're going to go through a downward 4-step process that I call you're going to go from experience to ego to error, because, the world is changing, okay, and you're being assumptive. Ego to error to excuses to extinction. Okay? Or you can have humility. And you can be Babe Ruth. Yesterday's home run does not win today's game. The world is changing very, very fast. I have to keep changing with it. What got me here won't keep me here. All these catchphrases, okay? But they're catchphrases for a reason. They're true. And if you have humility and have the attitude of continually learning, then you can move up to the 5th stage. Okay. Rusty, here's something I want to tell your readers that I've never talked about publicly. I've written sentences or two and paragraphs about it. In the world that I live in, which is serving churches, the sweet spot is about 45 to 55. Okay. You've got some experience. You've done some things, but you're young enough and fresh enough that people kind of listen to you. Okay. Well, I'm 58. Rusty, I've been in this industry over 20 years. So I came up and I saw people age out. And so one of the reasons that I write every day, one of the reasons that I read is my wife does. Only my wife knows how hard I work to remain relevant. And I work very, now look, I'm not going to color my hair, grow a goatee, or shave my head or anything. I am what I am there. But mentally, I always, Forrest Gump, been there, done that. Okay, cute statement, very entertaining, very memorable. Horrible leadership philosophy. If you've been there, done that, you will age out. But if you're going there, doing that, and trying to come up, about a year ago, Rusty, I started a journal I did called I Want to Learn Something New Every Day. And every day I want to learn something new. And it could be from anywhere about anything. So I always try to do that. I always try to talk to younger people. I always read. But yes, I want to go to that next level, which is excellence.
So let me ask you this. I love this, learning something new every day, because I have noticed that now that I'm in my 50s, it's so much easier just to say, oh, I don't understand anything about that, or I don't do that well, or I don't get that, and just kind of rest upon, well, I'm older now, let the younger people figure that out. It sounds like this idea keeps you fighting against that. Is that right?
It does. Now, look, there's some places I don't go, like technology. I do the best I can. Okay. But a new leadership concept or learning a new idea or something of that nature. Like yesterday, I forgot the term because it's just 24 hours old. But there's a new interview technique that when you take somebody out to dinner, if they don't know how to order, they don't get the job. It's a decisiveness issue. Okay.
So if you're unable to decide on something on the menu, then you don't get the job.
That's one of those tripwires. Okay, so yesterday I learned a new interview technique. Okay, so it does. Here's the thing: if you just compound that over 365 days, you've had a good year of personal growth.
Boy, that's brilliant.
So that's just what I learned yesterday. But here's the thing: in experience, you have to have humility.
Mm-hmm.
And then fifth level is excellence. And excellence is all about experience plus personal growth.
Mm-hmm.
So that's excellence. You start heading into the sage territory at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The sixth level is elite. This is all about accomplishment. Even though he's 26 years old and Jaylen Brown's 27, they are obviously elite basketball players. They have won the championship. Okay. Mm-hmm. So they are elite. Elite is all about accomplishment.
Mm-hmm.
But then here's the thing. Number 7 is essence. So Rusty, I'm part of a weekly Bible study with high school, collegiate, and professional scouts and coaches. You've been on that before, and you should return, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
So
I didn't know I was allowed.
What's that?
I didn't know I was allowed.
You are. You're allowed. You're Rusty George, for crying out loud. Many of them have been on your podcast. So
That's true. That's true.
We were on there one day, and there's a retired coach by the name of Rusty Strapp. He was at Gardner-Webb for many, many years, won conference, coach of the years. I mean, just a legend in the coaching, in the collegiate coaching industry. And he told the story. He said, the older I get, the more the wins and losses blend together. He goes, this past week, somebody I coached 20 years ago, him and his wife came to my office and they sat down and talked to me because they're having marital trouble. And he goes, and that was 20 years ago I coached him. And we were able to help them work through that process and get their marriage back on a good track. He goes, that meant more to me than any win I ever had.
Wow.
And he goes, when I look back over my career, I remember the bus rides. I remember the relationships. I remember, there's some hard losses and some hard wins, but they all blend together. He goes, it's the relationships. And I remember listening to him because I am so accomplishment minded,
Mm-hmm.
I remember listening to him and I go, that's the essence of leadership.
Wow.
The essence of leadership is love. You mentioned books earlier. There's a book out there called One Giant Win, written by Tom Coughlin. And it's the story of the Super Bowl team that beat the undefeated Patriots. So if you read that, you can get what you would want out of a football book. You could get strategy, you can get team building, you can get overcoming adversity, you can get all of those things. The last chapter, to me, Tom Coughlin's wife has ALS. And they live on a beach house, and every day he gets up and he gets her ready and he rolls her out to her favorite window so she could look at the ocean, and he feeds her meals throughout the day. And he said, this is the greatest leadership I've ever done. And Tom Coughlin gets it. That's the essence of leadership. Here's a hot take. Okay. You know who does not, in my opinion, and I don't know him personally, so it could have changed. Michael Jordan has never reached stage 7. Oh, he's elite. He's the GOAT. Okay. But even at his Hall of Fame speech, he's letting people have it from high school.
Right.
And he never learned the essence of leadership. Now, he may have learned it since that Hall of Fame speech and things of that. But by all accounts, Michael Jordan never reached the ultimate level of leadership, in my opinion.